Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. So in somewhat typical fashion, I wanted to show off one rather interesting recent pickup, as this card actually kind of helped inspire the topic for the episode. So just getting straight into it, and then I'll share a little bit of backstory after I show it off, but it is from 2014-15 Ultimate Collection. It is an autograph rookie card out of 299 of Andrei Vasilevsky.
That is a really nice card. Really, really nice.
Yeah, so I was just scrolling on Facebook one day and saw it pop up in a group and thought, like that seems like that is a pretty good price for what this is. So reached out to the guy and we made a deal and just got the card recently. And this is something that I've always kind of believed and felt fairly strongly about, but I feel like especially more so within the last few years, especially since the pandemic boom, is thinking about, how certain cards compared to other similar cards and the value difference between the two. And this card in particular kind of fueled that idea for this episode because, in my opinion, the Ultimate Collection autograph rookie cards are very much underrated for what they are. So we will get into the Ultimate Collection rookies a little bit more in depth later on during this conversation. But first, just kind of wanted to start by going through a few different categories of cards that Aaron and I feel are underrated, and then we'll have one that falls into the overrated category, and then a couple of things that we're going to kind of unpack about whether we feel they're underrated or overrated and why, and then finish up with kind of comparing a few different specific cards compared to other similar types of cards and why we feel that one is underrated, one is overrated. So the first one for me that falls into that underrated category, and this, I think maybe it might feel underrated right now just because the product has only been around for a couple of years, that being Upper Deck Stature. And I wouldn't just say, blanket statement overall the whole product, but I'm specifically thinking about like the base rookie cards and the parallels and the autographs. And I would say, unfortunately, 21-22 Stature, I think, kind of went a little crazy overboard on the amount of parallels and variations, just because like you have the base version, then all the parallels of those. You have the photo variation for the base design. You have the design variation and parallels of all those. And then you have the design photo variant and all the parallels of those. So I think that was like way overdone, way too much. But just looking at like the basic stature cards and the parallels of those, the basic autographs and the parallels of those, I think they're such beautiful cards and they're done so nicely that I just feel like those should probably have a little bit more demand than they do. Not that they aren't popular cards and that people don't like them, but I just feel like those are honestly some of the nicest cards that are put out there every single year. So to me, they feel underrated in that regard. And yeah, especially when you're holding them in your hands, it's just like, wow, like this just looks amazing. So it just seems like something like that should have a little bit more desirability and collectability than they might otherwise. I don't know if there's anything you want to add about Stature, but if not, I will let you switch over to the next one.
No, yeah, for stature, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I'm looking at a card here right now, actually, from their first year in 2019-20. And yeah, the cards are really, really something. I mean, it was something that, when collectors look at sort of the landscape of the hobby now, especially back then, it was just sort of a couple years ago, just sort of, chugging along. And stature was, at least for me, a product that kind of you're sitting in your chair looking at these like previews and seeing these cards, and you're like, whoa, like this is something new and this is really nice. So it definitely makes you take like a double take, which doesn't happen in the hobby too much for me anymore. Maybe it's the fact that you've been in it long enough, or maybe it's, a sign of the times of kind of what's out there now. But yeah, like stature cards were one of the ones that just, yeah, they make you take a second look, and that says something, especially when cards, there's only so much you can do design wise with a card. But yeah, like Upper Deck definitely knocked out of the park with stature. I feel like it might not be exactly the same, but it might fall into the same category of like a chronology where, for me anyway, just same thing. They look really nice. It was something new. And yeah, it was definitely something different in a really good way. And it's something you don't see too much. But yeah, just really good cards and the insert sets as well, just across the board, really good designs. And although they might have went a little bit overboard on the parallels, I mean, the cards themselves still look great. And, depending on the players you're looking at, it's definitely going to be really desirable, I think, in the long term, and maybe a little bit underrated right now. So I definitely think it belongs in the underrated category. Moving on to another set of cards that we think are underrated are both, I guess the older versions and the newer versions is the SB Game Used rookie cards. Those ones for me for a while have been just cards that every time I would, pick up one for the collection or see other people, maybe with some notable players, pick up those types of cards for their collections. I'm like, or see them sell on eBay. I'm always kind of like, wow, like that should have been, a little bit more in price, or I think people should be talking about these more because I just really don't see it as often as I think they should be, whether it be the design or just the rarity of some of these cards. I just think that, as opposed to, the Young Gun, which we might talk about later, I just think these cards have something that, pushes it above a couple other cards. And I don't see it talked about as much as it should. So yeah, that's one for me that's just really underrated. We'll see. Time will tell if it becomes, a hot card or something. But yeah, definitely an underrated card for me.
Yeah, I would agree. And when I was kind of putting together the outline for the show, I just kind of had the newer version of the cards in mind, being numbered out of the player's jersey number. And, I really do feel like those are very much underappreciated, undervalued, underrated cards just because of the scarcity of them. And then also what Upper Deck has been doing with them, over the last few years of, pairing those with a really nice foil board on the card. They just look really nice. And, you add in that scarcity and everything. I just feel like people don't really appreciate them probably as much as they should. But, so I mentioned those, and then Aaron mentioned, well, what about the old ones too? And yeah, I mean, definitely, because at least for me, one thing I always kind of think about when thinking about those older SP Game Used rookie cards is that the designs were always really cool. And sometimes they kind of had kind of a continuity among them between the years, but sometimes they were a little bit different even from themselves from year to year. But regardless of if they felt similar to the year before or not, they were still a really cool design and just something different. A lot of the time they were kind of more of that, I don't know if like industrial type of look might be the right wording or anything like that. But, I think about like the 0809 design, the 0910 design, like the 0506 design, of course, is really iconic. 0708, I really like those as well. So you kind of had a stretch of years there for a few years where they just looked really, really good. And yeah, just a really nice looking card. And, yes, they're serial numbered, they always have been the old style, the new style, but, and even though they're not the highest end of rookie cards, they always just have kind of had that interesting element to them, whether it be the design or the actual feel of the cards or whatever it might be. So yeah, definitely think the SP Game Used rookie cards are probably slept on a little bit. Another one, kind of in a similar fashion, they're serial numbered cards, but I feel like they definitely do not get the appreciation that they should, is Upper Deck Ice Premier's rookie cards. I just think that those are honestly some of the best rookie cards that there are every single year. I mean, who doesn't love a good acetate card first and foremost? I mean, this is hockey we're talking about, so you combine the acetate, which feels like kind of looks like ice, and then combine that with it being from the Upper Deck Ice product, and the design usually looking really, really good. It to me is just kind of a no-brainer of like, yep, that's a great card, and that's something I would want in my collection. And of course, there's been the different levels of the tiers for the rookie cards, depending on the serial number and stuff like that. Obviously, the best of the best being the numbered out of 99 versions, which those definitely do have, strong value. But even those, I feel like, are still kind of underappreciated. And I don't really know why that is because, like I said, there's pretty much everything going for those cards. And for whatever reason, it seems like the hobby just hasn't really embraced them in the long run, like I feel like they should.
I think that's a really fair assessment. I mean, I remember my first time seeing an ice rookie, probably, the Crosby and Ovechkins and just being like, wow, those are really, really cool. Or seeing, the first glacial graphs, like, oh, you can autograph these things. This is wicked. So I think that acetate technology, especially in its, formative years, is just always really cool. So you pair that stuff with a rookie card, and especially, the rare ones, and you have quite the combo. So I mean, yeah, I would also agree that they're also underrated. And yeah, I think that was a really good summary of why. Last one here, a little bit, similar, but it is something that's sort of new as opposed to the ice, which have been around for quite some time now. This is the Synergy True Base and Rookie cards. Synergy for me was one of the ones that when Upper Deck first released Synergy, that brand for me was one that I didn't really, I don't know if trust is the right word. It definitely isn't, but when it first released, I was kind of hesitant that it was kind of needed in the hobby, or it would have any sort of long-term holds, or if they would release it again, or something like that. But then I got a few base cards myself, and I gotta say, my opinion was instantly turned around as soon as I received some cards for myself. They were just a couple base cards, but they definitely, popped, and ones where, when I'm flipping through some cards, the synergy cards definitely pop out a ton. And, as opposed to some other cards around there, it just, yeah, definitely is, a cut above the rest in terms of their just overall looks. And, I think the overprinting of late of some products, I think synergies can sort of, maybe that's because of the material or whatnot, but it definitely has a certain, rarity that other products or other rookie cards can't really say that they have, values aside. And so I think, yeah, the synergy cards there are definitely underrated for sure.
Yeah, and I think especially, I mean, all of the, quote unquote base and parallels for Synergy look really nice. I feel like maybe the first year or two they weren't quite as strong, but I feel like over the last at least couple, 2, 3 years, the design of the base and parallel cards have just been absolutely beautiful. And, again, yeah, you can kind of gather that from a picture or scan, but when you actually hold these cards in person, they just look phenomenal. And they're really nice cards. But, whether that be the reds or the purples or, whatever, obviously the reds are the ones that most people are familiar with. But, when I think about the, quote unquote true base versions of the cards, which are the clear ones that are all serial numbered, I think that those just are not appreciated as much as they should be because of how scarce they really are. I don't even know that you get like one per case. Like, I don't think you do. So they're very difficult pulls. And I just feel like, given how beautiful the cards are, combined with that scarcity, that they should have a lot more desirability than they do. And I think a lot of that does kind of come back to that notion that you mentioned, Aaron, of like, when it first came out, I think a lot of people viewed Synergy as like, well, what is this? Why does this exist? Like, I don't know if I like this. Like, this is really different. So I think a lot of people kind of just had that almost like a negative connotation with Synergy, which maybe at first might have been somewhat fair, but I think Upper Deck has really learned, what the sweet spot is for Synergy and has learned how to, do the product really well. And yeah, I mean, nowadays I just think like those are such beautiful cards. And even if you are just getting one of the red parallels, which you get one of those in every pack, those are super common cards, obviously. But even if you're just picking up one of those of your favorite player, like how I got the Marc-Andre Fleury ones at the National, very cheap and expensive cards since they're the red parallel, but they're just beautiful cards. So yeah, I think across the board, all of the parallels and everything, but especially those true base and true rookie cards that are super, super low numbered, I think, just are very much slept on by the hobby in general. So that kind of wraps up our underrated category. Switching gears to the overrated category. And there's only one specific type of card in here, just because I wanted to put this in the comparison category for the end, since it'll kind of, get people's attention and stuff. But then I was thinking that there really isn't a fair comparison for them, just because there, I mean, there just isn't that natural comparison. and that being the Upper Deck Young Guns rookie cards. And I just
Big
said that.
take.
I know a lot of you might have just been like, wait, what? Like, did he just say Young Guns are overrated? Yeah, I did. And I think a lot of that, honestly, is just because I don't think most people have any idea of how heavily printed they are. I think if people did know how heavily printed that they are, that they would not have anywhere near the amount of value that they do. And I think people would just be a little bit more, cautious about, okay, like I don't know that I'm going to spend this much on his Young Guns rookie card just because of how common they are. And again, that's why there isn't really a natural comparison because it is the rookie card from Upper Deck's flagship series. So it's not really fair to compare that to like, I don't know, like an OPG rookie card or an MVP rookie card or something like that, where it's still a kind of quote unquote lower end type of product or a more basic product that is the standard rookie. It's just not really a fair comparison. So I didn't really want to put the Young Guns into that comparison category, but I did want to make note of them just because, like I said, I don't think people have any clue how many of them there are. I think a lot of people think that, there's maybe 10 or 20,000 of them or something. And I can tell you that number is far higher than that. And I can tell you that in 23, 24, that number is still going to go higher even some more. So, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Young Guns as well. I'm not saying I don't like them. I have a ton of Young Guns. I have a lot of, big name Young Guns, and definitely looking forward to getting a Connor Bedard Young Gun when that comes out in Series 2. But yeah, I don't know. I think given how heavily printed Young Guns are, I think that they are definitely overrated for sure.
I agree. And I think an example of this is, well, I guess, sort of the other side of the scale of this is going to be when Bedard's Young Guns do come out. And we do see that initial hysteria that, all the collectors are going to be just going for his cards, and especially that Young Gun. And it's just going to be just like the Wild Wild West. It's going to be insane seeing those first few cards sell and then eventually kind of return to earth a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we've seen it so much in the past with, top prospects or even just middle or lower end guys as well. Just have that first rookie card and maybe they're playing pretty good or they score a big goal or they have a great first week or two in the NHL and then their Young Gun just sort of pops off for a little bit. So, we've seen that many, many times over the years. And yeah, when you look at the most recent printing numbers the last couple of years, it's just been insane. Even back to, McDavid's rookie year, just how much the printing presses were kind of jacked up on that. It just really makes you think of how valuable are these cards? I know that people are paying this, but also there's a lot to go around. So, I mean, for those generational superstars, I mean, maybe not, but for those, second or third tier players that do have some value, especially if they're playing well, you might want to rethink that Young Gun purchase just for now. Maybe pick up some other cards along the way and maybe leave the Young Gun to the off season or something like that. Because yeah, definitely for the amount that's printed out there, price that people pay sometimes, it's definitely, I agree, a very overrated card, very popular, one that was popular out there, but still overrated. And I think people could learn a thing or two. Maybe not from our words, but just by looking at the market. I mean, we would love for you guys to be a resource here, but just look for yourself and kind of see over the years how much of these things are out there and then the prices that they sell for. And I think you'll, see for yourself a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So get that one out of the way. And again, not, we're not dumping on
We
Young
love
Guns
Young
or
Guns.
anything. We
We
love
love
Young
Young
Guns
Guns.
as much as
I have
anybody.
so many.
And, always look forward to them and definitely enjoy them. But just as far as, we don't harp on value too much, but this is purely looking at like the value compared to what they actually are. I feel like take out the numbered out of 99 tier because that's just a different territory. But if you look at like Young Guns versus Ice rookie cards, they're generally going to be fairly comparable for most players. And to me, that's like not even a debate. Like, why would you want a card that has tens of thousands of copies made compared to like 1,000 or even 2,000?
I was
And
gonna
the card
say,
just looks way
even those
better.
higher tiered ones, exactly. Like even those higher tiered ice rookies, for example, like it's so much rarer than the young gun.
Yeah, like Jacob Slavin, like he was in the highest tier, numbered out in 1999 and 1516. I would much rather have his ice rookies than his young guns. And believe me, I have a few of his young guns. I have literally like 50 of them, which is ridiculous, but it's true. But yeah, I mean, to me, that's not even a debate in my head. Yet I'm still going to want the young gun too. But it's just like when you're looking at the two side by side, like there's no question in my mind. Like I'd rather have the ice rookie card because it's rarer and it's cooler. So anyway, yeah, not to harp on young guns too much and not to make it sound like we're being negative about them. Just in terms of the value compared to what they are and how many of them there are. I think that's something that people really need to think a lot about. So the next category is the one about debating if we think they're underrated or overrated. And I kind of made this category because I wasn't sure how I felt about these two. First one being OPC Platinum Parallels, because I know that those are super hyped up, super valuable in some cases, and people just kind of go crazy over them because they're, the fancy, shiny, ooh ah type of thing. And, understandably so. They're great looking cards. I totally get it, but I also don't know if they're almost like overhyped as a result of how much, people kind of put stock into that. So yeah, I kind of go back and forth on those. I don't know how you feel about them, Aaron.
That's a tough one. OPG Platinum Parallels. I think it would be right now kind of which parallel you were talking about, but I think they can be underrated. Like seeing how people have sort of gravitated towards, older, say 90s parallels, some of them are getting their dues. Could these OPG Platinum cards be ones in the future that we look at and be like, oh man, like I remember those, like those parallels were nice, assuming they don't continue OPG Platinum for another, 20, 30 years continuously. I think if there is some, break or OPG Platinum takes another direction, I think we can look at these current parallels and see, you know, that eventually they will have their day. But I think now they're fairly rated. They're not underrated, they're not overrated. They're just sort of, one's kind of waiting in the wings. I think they could be an underrated card. I think in the future, ones that we look at and say, oh man, like those were so nice. Why didn't I pick up a couple more of those when I could? But for now, I think their rating is, I think, fair value with the market, if that makes sense.
That definitely is a fair assessment. The other one that fits into this category are the Skybox Metal Universe PMGs. And again, this is kind of one where initially I think I was like, man, why are people going so crazy over these? Like, I don't really get it. And then, I started getting some of them myself of the players that I collect. And I was like, okay, like I get it now. Like these are really nice cards. And I feel like, especially, since then, I've really just kind of I've come to appreciate the cards for what they are because they are just so nice in person. They look amazing, whether that's the red, the greens, or especially the gold one of ones. They just look absolutely incredible in person. And, so that really, justified to me, like, okay, I get why people are going crazy over these. But then, as time has gone on and more Metal Universe products have come out, there have been a lot more of the PMGs that have, been available on the market. And I think in a lot of ways, that's really kind of started to hurt the value of them and the desirability of them as a result, just because, people are kind of starting to get worn out by them and, just not feel like they are maybe as, unique or as interesting anymore. And, so I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people would feel that now they're overrated, where, when they first came out, I think they were definitely underrated. So yeah, kind of just an interesting one. I'm not sure how you really feel about them. I don't know if do you own any PMGs in your collection, Aaron?
I do. I have a Flurry PMG, a red version from 2012 or 2013.
Cool. Okay.
They're really
So
nice.
yes.
And I think as far as these ones, I'm kind of like torn. I think the older ones are underrated, but maybe the newer ones are kind of overrated. I don't know if that makes sense. I think, sort of following the, original PMGs, bringing them back, in 2012, 13 was kind of like a really cool, underrated thing. and, created in the future that much demand during COVID for these cards, as seen across, the other major sports. And what they've done recently, and I hopefully we'll see some tonight, but they're great cards. But I think maybe with all the different variations, maybe they've kind of made them a little bit overrated. But I think, there's some parallels, the really rare ones I think will be in high demand, and I think will continue to be in high demand, for the foreseeable future. Now that they've reemerged as these really cool cards from back in like the 90s.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would say that the gold one of one PMGs are definitely, probably pretty safe cards. I don't see those ever being not desirable just, because of what they are and how pretty they are. But, and probably the green ones out of 10 as well. I think just because of the scarcity of those, I do think that those will, always have some desirability. But I mean, we've seen even just over the last couple of years that the red PMGs just, have not had that same level of collectability and desirability that they had even just a couple of years ago, just because I think people are starting to kind of feel that burnout on PMGs. So definitely kind of an interesting conversation there. And then the final category, the comparison category. Aaron, I'm going to let you start off with this first one since I know this is one that you definitely feel strongly about.
Definitely. I loved the old Black Diamond rookie gems. I think they were really underrated cards, and really, if you want to go back and collect them now, you can and just really enjoy them for yourself, or those who have collected during the old Black Diamond days. I'm speaking from like I know they were around in the 90s, but I'm speaking from like a 2000s era one, is the era that I'm kind of speaking on. But as opposed to these new Black Diamond rookies, but I feel like, the older ones really do speak to what they were originally supposed to be, if that makes sense. They were supposed to be sort of this, I would say, medium to high end card, with the way they were kind of packed out, the way they were, priced and the way they looked. But I think the transition from that into, a purely hit based high end product is something that kind of lost it for me. So I feel like when looking at, underrated versus overrated cards, I think like the newer Black Diamond ones are sort of, they were meant to be something they weren't originally meant to be. So I feel like it kind of makes them a little bit overrated, whereas the other ones were sort of too nice for their own good, and that makes them, to me, underrated, especially with the parallels being, a simple, out of 100 ruby parallel and a out of 10 gold version. And of course, the one of one, whereas now has, the diamonds in it and stuff, which is cool, but just sort of, they made it too flashy. And I think it kind of, for me, kind of turns the tide a little bit when looking at these cards. And I think those newer ones are overrated, whereas the older version is sort of underrated for me. So yeah, it's just something that I've thought for a really long time, and it's good to get it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would definitely agree. I think that, especially now since they're, kind of quote unquote gone, that the old school Black Diamond rookie cards were just so nice. Just having a really nice, foil board, and the designs were always really nice, and they just made for some really nice rookie cards. Even though they didn't have a ton of value, that's totally okay because it allowed you to get a really nice looking card for a, fair price. So, and that's almost one you could kind of say, well, would you rather have, a Black Diamond rookie card or a Young Gun? It's kind of in a similar type of ballpark there. Again, it's flagship series versus something that isn't flagship series, so I get it. But, they were just such beautiful cards, and yeah, definitely I feel like those are very underrated even back at the time. But yeah, so kind of just the juxtaposition between the old school ones and the new ones are, obviously they're drastically different cards, but yeah, kind of just interesting to think about. So then for the one that inspired this episode, the underrated versus the overrated, Ultimate Collection rookie autos being underrated compared to, yes, I know this might sound absolutely bonkers to some of you, but the overrated comparison being the SP Authentic Future Watch autographs. And I will just leave it as simple as this. Ultimate Collection rookie card autos, it's a more high-end product. They are also hard signed. and they are far more limited. What more is there to say?
I think that's pretty fair. And then, design wise, they both look awesome. Yeah, I mean, Future Watch, there's 1,000 of them, 1,000. And, the ultimate ones they're just so much more rare. And again, yeah, hard signed. I mean, there's basically, when you look at the attributes, they're basically the same card, aside from the print run, right? So, yeah, it's just a mystery. For a while there, I think Ultimate kind of hung on as something that was sort of, really desirable. But then the last couple of years, I guess it just sort of, the desirability of Ultimate, I think as a whole, kind of dropped off a little bit. But yeah, I just always remember people ripping that stuff and looking for the shields, especially. But when they would hit an auto, it would be, a big deal. Not like a Future Watch big deal, but it would be a pretty big deal. But now it's sort of all about the value and investments and Future Watch this and all that stuff. So I think Ultimate's kind of has slipped a little bit more down, which is unfortunate. And seeing some of the newer Ultimate stuff come out now, and they're just really good cards, ones that I enjoy really much, a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think this is probably, in my mind, like the biggest example of like this card should not be worth what it is when you look at the value of this similar card. Like if we look specifically at the Vasilevsky rookie autos from Ultimate versus SP Authentic. Now, granted, I got a really good deal on this Vasilevsky, which is why I bought it. But kind of just doing some research and comparisons of similar players and things like that. In my opinion, based on what I have found, it seems like this Vasilevsky Ultimate Collection rookie auto is probably worth somewhere in the ballpark of like 125 US, give or take a little bit. And you compare that to his Future Watch auto, which is like a 250 US dollar card. It would
That's
be
crazy.
right. It would be one thing. Let's say they're both $125 cards. That doesn't change the fact that the Ultimate Collection card is from a higher end product and it's more rare. So even if they were worth the same, the Ultimate Collection card is still the better card. So then you factor in that the Future Watch sells for twice as much. That's insane. Like that is crazy.
Nuts. I mean, yeah, it's crazy, when you look at that. I mean, in fairness, I think both those cards have room to rise. So it'll be interesting to see, say when Vasilevsky retires or, maybe he's inducted into the Hall of Fame one day, what those cards look like then. Would collectors, for some of these superstars, it kind of tends to happen like that. Like eventually for these superstars, sometimes you could see sort of cards getting their due. So maybe it'll be like, depending on what the hobby looks at that time, people might have kind of waken up to this stuff we're talking about. And maybe at his, induction ceremony day, and you look at those cards prices, and maybe the Ultimate would have surpassed, the Future Watch because of that rarity, like we just spoke on. So, it's one of those things where maybe for some of these cards that we mentioned, things will change. But as of right now, yeah, the value and the Future Watch being double of what the Ultimate auto is just, it's unbelievable. Especially when you look at the attributes and how they're basically the same type of card. It's unreal.
And this obviously isn't just a Vasilevsky thing. I mean, I know when I first thought of this idea and I was looking up some other players, one that comes to mind now is Kirill Kaprizov, and he was even a short print in Ultimate Collection. So his Ultimate rookie auto is numbered out of 99. And when I looked, I believe that one of those out of 99 Ultimates had just sold for like 300 US or something. And his Future Watch, which again is numbered out of 999, was selling for like $1,000. So it's like, okay, not even double. It's now triple of what a short print out of 99 is. That is great. Like that's just, I don't understand that at all. And like again, this isn't saying I don't like Future Watch autos. They're not nice, like they're nice cards. I get why people like them, but just the level that people have hyped up Future Watches is crazy to me. And I love Ziri as much as anybody else. He's very entertaining, but I think a lot of this hype honestly has come from him just because he genuinely enjoys Future Watch autos, and that's kind of what he's almost known for. And I think because of that, that's had a big influence on the market for these things. And there are other reasons too. They're clean looking cards. been around for 20 years. They're, very predictable and consistent and all of that. So I understand why there's desirability, and I like them too, but just not to the level that they are, especially when you then look at the Ultimate Collection rookie autos side by side. So yeah, that's kind of the comparison that, really inspired this episode. And side note, did want to make mention that, of course, a lot of you have seen that 21-22 Ultimate Collection just came out. And unfortunately, some of the big name rookies in the sets are sticker autographs. So obviously, that is a departure from what Ultimate Collection has always been. And that's definitely unfortunate. But people also need to realize that Upper Deck cannot force players to sign their cards. So it's really a catch-22 of, okay, do we just never have these cards made, or do we do them with sticker autographs? So it's a lose-lose situation. It's the same thing. We talked about the David Pasternak Cup RPAs back at the time that have the sticker autos. We talked about the Kaprizov RPAs from the Cup last year. It's just a total catch-22. Obviously, it's not what Upper Deck wanted. It's not what the intention was, but it's just the reality that the players aren't signing the cards, and there's really nothing Upper Deck can do about that. So just wanted to make note of that since we were talking about Ultimate rookie autos, and that's obviously very relevant in the hobby conversation as of late. So just wanted to touch on that. And then the last comparison, and this one also, you guys might hear this and be like, okay, like you're kind of going crazy here, like that's ridiculous. But just looking at the difference in values between Premier RPAs and the Cup RPAs. And again, not disparaging Cup RPAs. They are great. There's a reason why they are the most valued and desirable rookie cards that a player has, because it's from the Cup. It's the highest end product that Upper Deck puts out every year. Totally get it. But then you look at the Premier RPAs, and they're just such nice cards. They're really, really nice cards. I mean, again, it has that acetate element to it that I think, how can you not like acetate? The patches are bigger. The print runs are generally pretty close, and yeah, the cards just look awesome. So, kind of just when you look side by side at the values, I think to me the far better value proposition would be the Premier RPAs. But again, I totally get why Cup RPAs are as valuable and desirable as they are. But just kind of wanted to bring that up, something that I've always kind of found to be interesting, given that you can get Premier RPAs for pretty good deals comparatively.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one. I think that'll get you, looked at from across the room really intensely for saying that. I think if you were in a card store, but like I would have to say, like I totally see what you're getting at. With the Premier cards. Like I remember when they made their return, when Upper Deck Premier was kind of coming back. It was really exciting. Seeing what those old cards were, and would there be, throwback designs, which there was, and what would the new ones look like, and just, being excited at the possibility. And these things definitely delivered. They're great cards year in and year out. The acetate you mentioned, just being top to bottom great cards. And it is sort of surprising that, you look at a top end RPA like the Cup, and, another top end RPA from Premier, and kind of, again, kind of ponder why the values would be so different. And it really is interesting. Maybe it's because the Cup sort of had that boom, it had sort of that new factor. It had Crosby, Ovechkin sort of in that debut, and they've just sort of kept piling on that brand recognition over the years, whereas Premier sort of, at least in this sort of new generation of collectors, just sort of it went away for a while, so it was kind of forgotten about. And so it doesn't have that. I mean, like to me it does, but for some people it might not have that heavy hitting brand recognition that I think the Cup definitely does have. Could that change in the future? I think it can. Like talking about the ultimate cards, is it sort of going to be a card that sort of for certain players people go back to, and they're like, like this thing has value too. I'm going to start giving this card attention, and people sort of catch on, and they sort of not even out, but I think would the Premier RPAs get sort of closer? I think so. I think people have done that a little bit, not across the board, but with certain players when looking at, say, like a National Treasures type RPA. Not every player, majority not, but I think for some players, they've definitely been like, this is a nice card, so I'm going to give this card, the attention it deserves. they were only around for that one go around, but still, I think Premiers, as they keep chugging along here, year in, year out, I think they could eventually have that, resurgence for some of these players. And, for any new players, I think it can definitely get that calling of, upper tier RPA eventually, but not right now, unfortunately. But I agree, it should be. But it's just one of those things like the ultimate card where maybe it just needs more time for people to kind of, wake up to that. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the Ultimate versus Future Watch is kind of more just like people need to wake up to the reality of just what the cards actually are versus, like I said, I totally get the brand recognition of the cup is very understandable. And it's not saying that those are really even overrated or overvalued or anything. It's more just that in comparison, I feel like the premier RPAs are slept on as a result. So yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at with that last comparison. So that wraps up the conversation, the debate about underrated, overrated, and kind of unpacking all those. So then transitioning to kind of the second main part of the episode, that being talking about an opening 2022-23 Skybox Metal Universe. So joining us now to talk about everything 22-23 Skybox Metal Universe is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that knows the product better than anybody else, Billy Celio, good friend of the show. Billy, welcome back.
Man, I didn't know if you were going to say my name or Aaron. I wasn't sure, so
Definitely
I
yours.
I'm glad you said mine.
So we're going to do things a little bit differently this time. Normally, we do just a devoted interview with Billy about the product, and then we open a box after the fact. But this time, we're going to try to change it up a little bit and kind of weave the two together. So I'm going to ask Billy the first question. He can talk about it as we're going through an opening. So, of course, one thing we always like talking about when a new product that you do comes out, but especially when it's one like Metal Universe, is the design of the base cards. So with 22-23 Metal Universe, obviously they're a little bit different compared to past years. So what was the inspiration for the base design this year and what went into that?
Metal in space. That's usually the theme. And Eric, I'm assuming that you wanted to start doing it this way because you were so excited to open up the packs that you just couldn't wait to do a whole interview first, and then
Yes.
ask, and then open the packs. So you're like, let's do both at the same time so I can see what I got, and this doesn't go on for 3 hours because I think people can only handle me for about 2.5 hours. No, honestly, it's Metal Universe is just one of those sets. It's a very unique set. It started by Arena Design back in the day with their Skybox designs, and we wanted to do homage to that. I will say this was one of our own designers, but we do now have Jean McLeod as in charge of our design department. So moving forward, she might be putting her label on a few more Metal Universe designs and base designs and insert designs. But for now, for this set, we challenged our team, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. The base cards definitely look great, a really, really cool design. And I feel like it does a really good job of mixing that metal with the space theme for sure. So hits for the first pack, we have stars of Jake Gensel, a rookie of Jack McBain. And then this leads in really nicely to the next thing I was going to ask. We have a retro of Braden Tracy for the Anaheim Ducks. So of course, this year the one of the most notable things about the product is switching the retro design from 97 98 to 98 99.
Yeah, wanted to mix it up. I wanted to be able to use some designs that there's more than one retro PMG design. There are some famous ones, and I just wanted to mix it up a little bit. Does that mean that the old one's never coming back? We'll see. There might be some plans to use it again somewhere, but when you take out the veterans for the design, it kind of, then you just have a bunch of rookies, and which isn't bad, but we wanted, McDavid and Matthews and those guys to, have PMGs again. So that was kind of our way of justifying using them again, is using a different design.
Makes sense for sure. So second pack, we have stars of Jonathan Taves, a rookie of Pavel Regunda for the Ducks and a jarring insert for the Buffalo Sabres, Jack Quinn. So I guess that'll lead into the next question. Obviously, you know, you do a very good job with this product in particular of switching up the inserts every year and looking back to, the previous Metal Universe releases from the 90s and coming up with inspiration that way. So, this year there are the Bottle Rockets, the Flash the Glove, all starring Jarring, as we just saw, Metal Ore, Cash, Lynchpins, Tetrad, Palladium, the House, all being quote unquote new inserts for the hockey version. So is there any of the ones there that stand out to you that you want to talk about?
Well, first I wanted to kind of mention, like you said, I think I told you this 2 or 3 years ago when we went over the first Metal Universe. There was a plan, and there was a plan to spread some of these iconic designs out, and there was a plan to give our designers a chance to put their own spin on some old designs and create some new designs. So part of the fun of creating Metal Universe is coming up with unique inserts. It's known for its unique inserts. The jarring one is just kind of like, I like to give a little love to goalies. I'm sure Aaron doesn't mind that every once in a while, and I like to get a little love
Love it.
to the grinders, and they need some inserts every now and then too. So that's where the jarring insert came from. But for ones that I really like, I think the house is kind of cool for those of you who, really study the game. There's a certain area in front of the net, and they call it the house. And so I'm like, kind of, if you turn it this way, you can almost make it look like I don't know, make it look like a house. So we just kind of did a cool design there. And another one I really like that I don't know if it's going to be one of your questions is the aspects. It's kind of people ask me where that came from. And like, I'll sit there and look at magazines and pictures and stuff on TV, and I saw this old kind of like picture of Betty White. It sounds weird, but it's kind of like her body's cut out and someone was holding it up against like the Hollywood sign or the whatever. I'm like, that's kind of a cool concept for a card. So we kind of took our own spin on it, and kind of had the players pop out and then their bodies almost be like a specific area for the city that they play in. Now, one thing that people don't understand is there's a lot of legal aspects, no pun intended, but a lot of legal aspects of what you can show when it comes to, like, you can't show specific buildings, monuments, stuff like that. So we had to be pretty specific. Like, we can't even show the outside of the arenas that they play in. Like, that would
Hmm.
have been perfect. Just show the outside of the arena of where the player plays. That would have been great. But unfortunately, we can't show that. So, I think they had, like, for Florida, there's like the Everglades, and I love the Kaprizov. It looks like he's got like a fountain tie almost on going down his neck. So some of them are really cool. I think Crosby's is sick with Pittsburgh in the background, but it's again, it's one of those unique looking inserts that I think fits the mold of Metal Universe perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree for sure. And that is something I was going to ask you about. And I feel like you did a really good job explaining, but I think they're just cards that a lot of people have kind of misunderstood and just don't understand as well as they, could or should or want to. But yeah, I think the concept of those is really cool. And when I first saw them, I was like, yeah, like that's a really cool idea. So I'm glad that you unpacked those. Our next pack, we have a Stars of Timo Meyer, a rookie of Mark Kastelich, and we have our acetate insert for the box, one of the Palladium cards for the Carolina Hurricanes, Andrei Svechnikov. And these
Those
look
are
This is
really
really
cool.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a great example of letting our designers kind of recreate some classic designs. We challenged them. I said, you know what? I want to see a lot of clear area because it's acetate, but when you use that Spectrum Deco foil on the card, on an acetate card, it always really pops. And I wanted, it to pop. I wanted a cool die cut, and I think our designer did a great job. And I realize I say the word I a lot. Grant always yells at me when I'm on here because I say I too much. I try to give everybody as much credit as possible. So we wanted to come up with something new, and I think we did that.
Yeah, those those cards look amazing. Our next pack, we have a Stars of Elias Pettersson, a rookie of Braden Schneider, and a very cool card that I know these are really hard to get. So I would love to hear you talk about these a little bit more. But we have a Tetra die cut for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mitch Marner.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Nice.
that's extremely rare. I'm looking at it. That's 1 in 300 packs. So, I've done inserts where they score hat tricks, and I said, well, let's do an insert that people scored 4 goals because I mean, everyone remember the famous, first game of Matthews scoring 4 goals in his first game. So, that pops up in your head every once in a while, and occasionally during the season you hear of players that has scored 4 goals. So I'm like, well, let's do a card that deals with 4 goals in a game. And we went through a few insert names for that, and legally we finally came up with the Tetrad insert name. But yeah, just another thing that Metal Universe has always had is just some really cool, funky die cuts. So I just wanted to have, some die cut cards in there. I think a lot of people, speaking of inserts that you're familiar with, potentially linchpins is another one that was in there, and we wanted to bring it back, and we gave it its original design and gave it all like it's got a bunch of little tiny holes in there, and those are just really cool looking cards and have stood the test of time. So I wanted to bring those back. But we kind of get some die cuts in there. You've got the Tetrad. There's the hot shots in there also. Speaking of another design that we brought back, those are even rare. I think those are like 1 in 600. So you know one of the things that we really wanted to focus on in this set, from year to year. Like the first year we started, we didn't know what to expect, and there wasn't a lot of variety. I think the next year we were able to add a little bit more variety to it, and you were getting a lot of autographs per box. I think, and one of the complaints that people say, they don't get an autograph per box. We kind of decided to cut the autographs from 1 per box to be able to add more variety, more technology, just more cool stuff, inserts in this set. And I think what people need to understand is they've got this thing in their head where, a hit is an autograph or a memorabilia card. And look at all the cards that everybody is talking about and wanting to get from the 90s, from these Metal Universe sets. They're not talking about getting autographed cards from Metal from back in the day. They're talking about all the inserts and all the rarity of the inserts and the technology and how cool they look. We wanted to bring that back to Metal Universe in a big way this year, and I think we did that.
Absolutely. So next pack, I immediately noticed that we had some bright red popping out. So that's obviously a good
Haha,
sign.
yay.
So we've got a rookie of Ronnie Attard. We have a Stars of Nick Suzuki, and we have a retro precious metal gems. Of course,
Nice.
numbered out of 100, but the Reds
Drum
being a print
roll.
run of 90 for the Arizona Coyotes, Matthias Michelli.
Nice. Those look awesome. Really nice.
I
Wow.
think you'll notice this year too. I think this is the best in the 3 years that I've built this so far. I think this is the best condition wise that the PMGs have come out. I'm not saying everything's perfect, but these cards and the technology that they use and when they cut the cards and all that, it's very hard to get PSA 10s on these cards. It's just part of the process of when the vendors make these cards and cut these cards and sort these cards, that they get little dings here and there. They're just really touchy when it comes to that sort of stuff. So I think these are some of the best conditioned PMG and FX cards that we've had in the past 3 years of Metal Universe.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that based on what I've seen, not only with this card, but just what I've seen online as well. Next pack, we have a Stars of Alex Ovechkin, a rookie of Noah Cates, and a Prospects of Nick Blankenberg. And one other thing that we didn't hit one here, but something that has caught the attention of a lot of collectors is the 2013 Marvel Retro cards. And I'd love to hear you share about those.
You know, um, I wanted to. I've been trying to add some more artwork, and I think us as a whole group, we've been trying to add more original artwork into sets. And myself and Tony, we've been dibble dabbling and working on some of the Marvel sets also. And so, we constantly hear and talk about, original artwork and stuff. And so I think we've started to put some of that original artwork into our hockey sets, into our sports sets. And so I was trying to think of a really cool way to do that in Metal Universe. And, one of the sets that we do work on, we have a Metal Universe for Marvel also. So we took the 2013 design, and which is synonymous to a lot of Marvel collectors, and we decided to have an artist draw comic book art of the players. And I was ecstatic when I saw the artwork come back. I thought it looked great. Sometimes when you ask people to do original art of players, it looks nothing like them, and you just kind of have your hands in your head and either have them do it over again, or just kind of deal with it. But it's really good caricatures, artwork of the players. It looks like them.
Yes, absolutely. Next pack up, we've got a Stars of Jack Hughes, a rookie of Caden Gooley, and another prospects of Braden Packle for the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, another insert that I know we got one last year that beautiful card, and you'll know based on people don't necessarily know how to pronounce the name of the insert. So if you would be able to remind
Oh,
folks what those are.
I'm sure you're referring to the, where is it there? The I was trying to think of another insert that was like an obvious name to say, but I think I've mentioned most of them already. And I was just be like, why can't you say this properly? No, it's the Metallics cards, or AKA Metal X cards, which people call them. Again, it's just me trying to be a little too clever with insert names, and people are used to something X. So it's called Metallics. It's kind of based off of the technology and the stuff it's printed on, a metallic type of film. Yeah, those are back, and those are just as rare as last time. So I believe there's 70 of them. You get one per case. So, you need to buy 70 cases if you want that Connor McDavid Metallics cards. I don't know how else to put it. That sounds pretty rare to me. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds rare. So, it's currently, I wouldn't say that, people are treating it as rare as they are. And hopefully down the road, when they're trying to put a set together, people start realizing, hey, wait a minute, I can't find this card and I can't find that card, because all the PC guys got their player, and there's not a lot of them out there. I'll just put it that way.
You might almost say they're underrated,
Yes.
which you don't get that joke earlier in the episode. We were talking about underrated
This whole
cards. So
in this whole thing, we have not heard that Air already opened up the
I
box before
think
we were
so.
even
I
on
think
here.
so.
And he's just been like, oh, and in the next pack, and that they somehow like coincide with the questions. Like at first I thought I was on Hot Ones and we were getting like like we'd eat a wing and then get a question. But I'm just saying, I haven't heard a single rapper. And when I open stuff up, I hear crinkling.
I've
I
been
think he was just so excited.
I'll
Being
expose
stealthy with.
myself and say that I've been muting as I've been opening.
Oh, okay,
There we
But
go.
okay.
See, he's just so
um
excited to rip into these packs, just doing it over and over and over again.
yes. So next pack we have a Stars of Patrick Line, a rookie of Trey Fix-Wolansky, and a prospects of Jake Sanderson. And another insert that some people have been struggling saying the names. I'm pretty sure it's Cash. Is that correct? Instead of
So,
Cache?
oh, don't get me on this, because someone blew me up on a post. So the spelling of the card is cash. That's how it's pronounced. The intention might have been something else. But if you were to look at the spelling, and I don't know, you guys don't do this isn't video. This is vocal?
Just
It's video
audio.
now. Yeah, see, people can't see my hand out of my head right now explaining this. But yeah, it's one of those, the words pronounced cash, the way it's spelled. It might have had other intentions, but now I don't know what to do and say about that one. The intentions was a cachet. It came out cash. I'll let you guys call it whatever you want. Call it a beautiful card. that our designer came up with. It's very shiny and it's embossed, which we don't do embossings as much anymore because it's not cheap to do that. I don't know what machines they used back in the day and how could afford all those embossings on some of those sets, but they're charging us an arm and a leg to emboss cards. So the fact that, this has got an embossed card in it, which is it's pretty cool, both the silver and the gold. Like sometimes you get like a silver and it looks okay, and then the gold is like, oh, that's shiny. No, these are both shiny. They're absolutely stunning. I love them. I haven't seen a blue one yet. I should probably look on eBay, but I know there's a platinum blue numbered out of 15.
Very cool. Yeah, I hope we still get one. I don't know if how the box breakdown typically works, but yeah, those cards look really, really cool from what I've seen. Next pack, we have a Stars of Tarasenko. We have a rookie of Marco Rossi, so that's a pretty good one. And a retro for Los Angeles Kings of Brant Clark. That's a good name there. I know you already talked about the hot shots, but another insert of the past that has been done before by Upper Deck and by Fleer in the past as well, but that's back and has been done kind of in a bit of a more unique way than maybe was done in the past is the hot numbers cards, and those being
Oh,
the 3D effect lenticular type cards.
yeah. I mean, again, we're throwing a lot of technology at you, and the 3D lenticular cards in O-Pee-Chee do quite well. And again, like we're going to all these card shows. We were just at the Burbank card show a couple weeks ago, and we were at the National. I ran into some Andre Fleury collector that was crazy. I'm just saying, showing off this 101 that he has, and but I thought that that was kind of a cool one to bring back. We did we wanted to mix it up. I wanted it to be bright. Like when you saw it, when you open up the pack, it's this bright yellow card. The original hot numbers weren't, they were, dark with some bright letters on it. I was just like, let's make people know they got one of these cards when they open the pack. So that yeah, we brought that back, and those are extremely rare too. Those are maybe one a case if that.
Very cool. Yeah, from what I've seen, those look really, really cool. And like you said, definitely jump out. Next pack, we have a Stars of Leon Draisaitl, a rookie of Dylan Genther. So that's another good one. And I think this is our last retro for the Boston Bruins, Jacob Lauko. And just seeing the design of those 98, 99 retros, I mean, I know you love when people say this, Billy, but I think they look a lot better in person than they do on a screen.
Oh yeah.
I
This
agree.
this whole set, you guys are opening up hockey. I called it, Metal Wednesday because AEW and hockey came out at the same day for Metal Universe cards, and a lot of the wrestling base has not had a set like this. Hockey, basketball, like they've seen it before. Again, it's still one of those sets that you got to have them in hand to really see, how nice they look. But it was interesting. A lot of the wrestling fans weren't as familiar with the light effects that goes on cards. They know chrome and they know, regular paper, but they don't necessarily know like what we do with the light effects foil. That's what it's called, the light effects foil on the cards. And then just, as I said, crazy die cuts, inserts and whatnot. It was funny because I was reading a post and a guy was just like, oh, this Sting card looks funny. Why is it all green? Like, I wouldn't want that green Sting card. This is horrible. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm sure there's quite a few people that would be more than happy to take that card off your hands. And what's pretty cool is, like, I keep mentioning when you're talking about cards, oh, this is one per case. Oh, this is one per case. This is less than one per case. This is maybe a couple. Like, there's so many different types of case hits in this set. Now, do I expect there to be a master collector that wants to build every single insert in this set? Probably not. But what I wanted to do was challenge a bunch of different collectors that collect different things. Like, maybe I want all the hot numbers. It's still going to take some time. And guess what? If I pull a jambalaya, but I want the hot number set, I can trade, even if I got a jambalaya and I don't want it, that's a card that you can then take to somebody else and trade it for something that you do want. You might not like the metallics cards, but there might be somebody else that does. And obviously there's a secondary market out there, but even if you don't like something, there's in this set more than likely somebody will, and there is value to these cards that you pull, even if it's not the card that you want.
definitely. That makes a lot of sense for sure. And just as you kind of look through the odds on the back of the packs or the box, it's very apparent what you just said there. There's a lot of very rare and hard to get cards in the product. The next pack was a fun one. We got a Stars of Patrick Kane. We have a rookie for the Seattle Kraken of Matty Beniers. So that's obviously a
Nice.
very, very good one. And then we have our first Aspects appearance for the Colorado Avalanche, which features the Rocky Mountains in the background. Nathan McKinnon.
Nice name to get. Those are cool.
I think these, again, like we said a minute ago, these look way better in person than they do on a screen.
Yeah, a screen and a piece of paper do not reflect shiny. Solicitations do not do these cards justice. The best one is the Aspects card. That just looks like a plain, there's lines on it and a player outline, and it looks really boring if you look at our did I say Aspects? I meant the cash cards. It looks really boring on the solicitation, but in person, those cards are some of the nicest ones in the set.
I know Aaron will like this next pack, or this next hit at least. We have a Stars of Artemi Panarin, a rookie. Billy, you like this one. Elmer Soderblom.
I was gonna
And
guess.
the hit of the pack, I know Aaron will probably, this is probably Aaron's favorite insert from the product. A Flash the Glove of Jeremy Swayman.
Oh yeah, bring the love to the goalies. Those are really nice. Every time I've seen them, and that's awesome. Great hit, especially the good name too. Can't get better than that. Hit of the box for me.
Let's see here. We'll jump into our next pack here. Getting down to it here. Looks like we've got another Aspects for the Buffalo Sabres. And this one looks like it's Niagara Falls. Owen Power. So that's a good one. And a rookie of Jonathan Berggren for the Red Wings. And Stars of Anze Kopitar. As we're coming down to it here, I think we might only have 2 packs left. Is there anything else that you want to share about the product that we haven't touched on yet?
You know, it's kind of funny. People were asking me what the Easter eggs were, and I think we pretty much I just put it all out there this year. We didn't have any Easter eggs. I'm like, you want to see what we got? This is what we got. No, I said it to my boss when this came out. I think this is from a hockey standpoint in the past few years of the last 3 or 4 that we've built. I think this is the best by far. We're going to continue to improve on it next year. I already got some tricks up my sleeve for that one and bringing back some more stuff. But I think if you were down on the first 2 years and think that this year is going to be just like the last 2 years, which I still think the last 2 years were great, you're in for a surprise.
Nice. Well, that's exciting. Look forward to that. We've got a Stars, very good one. Connor McDavid for the Edmonton Oilers. We have a rookie of Jordan Spence, and we have our first Bottle Rockets for the Anaheim Ducks, Trevor Zegras. And again, these ones, even as I'm showing on the screen right now, way nicer in person with that the light effects foil on there for sure. Really nice looking card in person. And our 15th and final pack. We've got another Flash the Glove for the Edmonton Oilers of Jack Campbell. And we've got a rookie of Yuri Slivkovsky, so that's a good one. And a Stars of David Pasternak. So I think that'll pretty much wrap it up, unless there's anything else you want to add, Billy. As always, we really appreciate your time.
No problem. I'm sure you're looking forward to a Blackhawk season this year. You might have some new guy or something that's going to be playing for the Blackhawks, hopefully.
Some no-name
Um,
guy.
yeah, just some generational talent type of player. Nothing
Oh yeah,
nothing big.
Ryan Donato. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's awesome. We're going to hopefully, just to rub it in, pick up Patrick Kane because he wants to play with the Brinkcat. So I'll get you your Patrick Kane Red Wings jersey for you if it does happen. And yeah, that's about it. You guys going to the expo? Will I see you in Toronto for Series 1?
I'll be there for sure.
All right.
Aaron will be representing.
And maybe we should start sending Aaron the boxes to Aaron if he's going to all these events. I'm just joking. I saw
Shipping.
I saw Eric at the National. We had a good time.
He's the dude.
Indeed. Well, again, as always, we really appreciate your time and your insight, Billy. A very good time having you on the show, as always.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Of course, obviously, having Billy on any product that he's built. It's fun to hear the backstory behind a lot of the cards, but I feel like especially Metal Universe in particular is just so much fun hearing, the inspiration and what went into the various insert sets and everything. So, of course, as always, really appreciate Billy's time. And wrapping things up for the episode, when we got our package from Paul at Upper Deck with this box of Metal Universe, he also was extremely generous to include a box of 2022-23 Black Diamond as well. So we are going to crack into that as well and see what there is. Obviously, we were talking a little bit about Black Diamond earlier in the show, so this is, kind of a nice tie-in there. But yeah, obviously the newer iteration of Black Diamond is very much just a beautiful product, honestly. All the cards are just very, very nice looking, great designs. And yeah, I'm sure that this year is no different. So it'll be really fun to see what we have here. I will break on into this. Obviously, it's just the 1 pack per box, 6 cards per pack, and it is a monster of a pack, very, very thick. So we'll see what we get here. Looks like we've got a few thicker cards, so hopefully that means we get something good. I know oftentimes the best cards are right behind the base. So starting off on the front, we have a base card for the St. Louis Blues, numbered out of 349, Ryan O'Reilly. Very nice. We'll go to the back because I already saw the back of that card, and it is a very nice. That's really nice. An exquisite, and I think this is probably a gold parallel if I had to guess, number 28 out of 99 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby.
Hey, that's nice. That's definitely a keeper right there.
Yeah,
Beautiful
that is a
card.
beautiful card for sure. That's really sharp looking. So good start. We'll go from the back again. We have a rookie gems numbered out of 399 for the Anaheim Ducks, Braden Tracy. And all of these cards have like a really nice rainbow effect to them, which doesn't always show up very well on pictures or scans or even on video. I know it's not showing up super well on our camera right now, so Aaron isn't fully able to appreciate these, but they are very nice cards. Next up, this one's really cool. My goodness, that's really nice looking. We have a Diamond Gallery for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Steven Stamkos.
Hey, that's really nice.
And there's cool. Like 2 layers of cardboard and then a layer of acetate in the middle. So it's almost like a 3D type of card, and it looks really nice in person.
That's awesome. It's like an acetate sandwich. So cool.
Exactly. It really is. It really is. Not numbered or anything, but that is a beautiful card. So very, very cool there. Then we've got a couple of thick ones. We have a team logo jumbos for the Toronto Maple Leafs, fittingly for you, Aaron. Daryl Sittler.
Hey, that's not bad at all. I don't mind those manufactured patch cards. When you're completing a logo or something, I don't mind it at all. So yeah, nice to see.
And I believe this should be our hit of the box. That's pretty nice. That's very nice. We have a Diamond Debut Relics, number 24 out of 49 for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Kent Johnson, with a nice 3-color patch and auto, of course.
Sweet card. Looks awesome.
Great name. Obviously, getting a patch auto of a top rookie can't go wrong. So that's a really nice card. Man, yeah, beautiful looking cards. Like I said, that Stamkos is just unbelievable in person with the rainbow foil and the die cuts and the acetate and everything. That is just a stunning looking card. That might be my favorite card of the box, honestly, just because of how beautiful it is. But yeah, then obviously the Crosby Exquisite is really nice, and Kent Johnson as well. So yeah, just beautiful cards out of Black Diamond. Every year, it's always really fun seeing the new designs for the product and everything rainbowed out and foiled out and everything. So unfortunately didn't get one of those the true rookie diamond cards like we were talking about earlier, but overall I think I would say that was a very, very nice and enjoyable box there.
I really like the design of the cards this year. I think they're really great. Definitely very innovative, as seen by the Stamkos there. So yeah, really cool break right there. I definitely preferred like the older, Black Diamond, as opposed to the hit-based version, but nevertheless, I mean, that was still a very satisfying break right there.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's pretty much all I have. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up, Aaron?
No, I'm good. That was definitely a really fun episode.
Awesome. Yes, very fun indeed. Obviously, kind of getting back to our topic themed episode. We haven't done one of those in a while, and I know that we were both looking forward to having one of those. And kind of unpacking some underrated, overrated cards was fun. And then obviously digging into a couple of newer products and hearing the backstories behind some of those cards is always very, very fun as well. So a pretty jam-packed episode, but yeah, a lot of fun for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Centerized Cardcast, and on Twitter at CenterizedCC. And I've been thinking about this the last few episodes, but yes, it is Twitter. It's like the Sears Tower in Chicago. No one calls it the Willis Tower. It's the Sears Tower. Twitter is Twitter. It's not X. It's Twitter. End rant there, but yeah, it'll always be Twitter. So just a little shout out there. But anyway, back to the rest of the outro. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Centerized Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.